Welcome Aliki, welcome Lungi. Very excited to have you here today to have our discussion of the topic that we're going to be speaking about, which is planning.
Thank you, Anjay.
Thank you.
So when we refer to Alan Laken, he's given us some good context in terms of planning, and he says that planning is bringing the future into the present so that we can do something about it now. In the fast-paced environment that we are in currently, and the volatility of the sales market or the sales environment, what would you say, what impact does planning have on sales?
Planning plays a huge part in the success of your sales meeting. As you said, in the fast-paced world that we're living in, it's sometimes we're like hamsters on a wheel, you know. So it's good to take a step back and just plan for your meeting, set out objectives, actually know what is it that I want to get out of the meeting and what I want to achieve in the meeting. Also, in the consultative selling environment that we are in, it's best to align your goals with the company's goals for overall success for the company.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. You mentioned objectives. Tell me a little bit more when we talk about setting objectives.
Obviously, it's different for existing and new customers. So for existing customers, you need to be looking at long-term objectives that you want to achieve with your customers. So it could be when you are in the buying platform of your sales platform, how do you want to brickwall this customer? How do you want to build long-lasting, loyal relationships with this customer? And then in terms of a newer customer, we would look at SMART objectives. So like a primary, a secondary, a retreat objective.
Okay. Lungi, if I'm not mistaken, Mercury have a structure that's followed when it comes to planning. Could you tell me a little bit more about that structure?
Most certainly, Ranjay. So here at Mercury, we just like Alan Laken. He also had a quote that says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So what we do is for our objective settings, when we are going out there to have a particular, like Aliki has just said now, we look at our different customers. When we are setting those objectives, we look at the SMART model. So SMART is an acronym as well. It stands for having your goals or your objectives set in a specific manner, and that manner must be measurable, it must be attainable, relevant, and of course, time-bound. If you have a goal that's open-ended, unfortunately, once again, you can't really stick to what you want to achieve. So with SMART, it's synonymous with making sure that your goals will be relevant, will be achievable for all the different customers. You know, whether it is an existing customer or it is a new customer that's coming through, it's more of like a guide. When you're looking at setting your goals, what must be in there for them to be a success?
Thank you, Lungi. Aliki, we're referring to SMART objectives, and I believe you mentioned primary, secondary, and retreat objectives. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit more about how do we make it more specific, measurable, achievable, just as Lungi has pointed out. How would we make those objectives specific in a way?
Well, your primary objective is obviously your gold medal. The primary goal that you want to achieve with your customer mm-hmm. from the meeting. That could be, it's not always only about sales. It can be about meeting the right decision-making unit, people within the meeting, or achieving another primary objective. Secondary objective is an additional objective to the first one. So not replacing it, mm-hmm. just a secondary objective that you would have in addition to the primary. Your retreat is more like your bronze medal. So in case, you've planned a lot mm-hmm. for your meeting and you go through to see your customer and he's not there. You've driven 2 hours to go and have this meeting and now your customer's not there. Mm-hmm. So what would be my fallback plan? What would be my objective in case this happens? So that could be a follow-up meeting with your client, or you might land up speaking to somebody else in the decision-making unit, but at least then you've planned for that outcome and you have a retreat objective. You asked about SMART. So when you take a goal, and the specific part of the SMART is making it so specific that you set milestones, that it is achievable, that there is no question how this goal has been laid out. It is that specific, and you know what the outcome is going to be. Measurable, that means that you need to lay out milestones and outcomes from the goal so that you can measure it along the way. Otherwise, you don't know where you are within the success of that goal and reaching the objective. And achievable, it might not be the dream, but is it achievable for now? Is it achievable for us? Do we know that this is something within our reach? So you have to know if the customer has a need or a pain. You need to know that the need is there for the goal to be relevant for your objective. And then time-bound, as Lungi said. So you cannot have a goal that is open endlessly. You need to lay out so that you know within a certain amount of time you have achieved your goal. And that's where the milestones come in, because you can also see where am I in this goal into reaching my objective.
What I gauge is that when going out to a customer, we need to set objectives when we're going out to that customer, and we need to ensure that it is specific, it's measurable, it is definitely achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It seems as though this may take a long time. It might be really time-consuming from a planning perspective. Lungi, tell me, what would you say are the advantages then of planning for a sales meeting?
Yes, you are right, Ranjay. It might sound like it's time-consuming, but if you're setting yourself up for success, you want to look at planning and preparing in depth. You have said earlier on that it's like bringing the future into the present so you can do something about it now. It helps you not to get too nervous and anxious about your meeting. The better you plan and prepare, the better you are confidence-wise in going into that particular meeting. I think even in the real world, whatever it is that you can plan and prepare for now, before you are actually in the spotlight, prepares you for that kind of success. And remember, in business, you're going there with a business goal. You have people that don't really have much time. You have set an agenda. You have set time for this meeting. You have prioritized all the things that you want to speak about. And if you really are not going to plan and prepare for that time-wise as well, you might run out of time. You have done all this work. You have put in so much action, intention, purpose, and aim to have a successful outcome, like we've been saying. And by the time you get there, you're nervous. I think that's the worst thing that could ever happen to a salesperson. It's better that I plan in my leisure, in my comfort, taking into anticipation any kind of customer behaviors or any kind of objections that might come through, than being thrown in that spotlight and you find that you are now swallowing your words. It brings a bit of discomfort. And for me, the pro for planning and preparation is to get you comfortable, to get you confident. It's to help you steer your conversation in a direction that actually brings about success.
It's like having a script, but not sounding scripted.
100%.
It does help you to have everything planned out and laid out for you. You know, it really does increase your confidence.
Okay.
When you're going, because it's a fallback.
And tell me, Aliki, then, what would be some of the disadvantages? If we look at, we did mention it's time consuming. So are there any other disadvantages of planning?
You shouldn't be too scripted or lose your spontaneity. You want to be spontaneous with your customer because he or she is going to take it on any trajectory that they want to. So you need to be flexible enough to follow this conversation wherever it's going. So that comes in planning your questions and the confidence that Lungi spoke about. But just because it's scripted, don't be rigid. You need to be flexible. Have a bit of spontaneity in there as well.
Okay.